evening. If I can have your attention, please, momentarily. Can we start making our way to our seats? We are due to start in the next 5 minutes. Thank you very much. No, we don't need this. That was for the media. In fact, if you can get colleagues to move it now. Yeah. Okay. The arrival of the MSc for Cocta, who I'm reliably told is being fetched from the holding room, and we are due to start momentarily. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now starting our program. By way of introduction, I am uSiyabonga Maphumulo, the Stakeholder Manager for uMngeni-uThukela Water, and you are all welcome this evening. Before we make an official start, I would like for the board chairperson of uMngeni-uThukela Water, Advocate Vusi Kuzwayo, to come forward and address us, please. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. I think I must make an upfront request, which I think would be understood. We're going to request everyone just to stand for a few minutes. We lost a board member, Ms. Masango, just the past weekend, so just observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Can be seated. Program Director, distinguished guests, fellow board members, we have all our stakeholders. I think you also fall within the distinguished guest. We have members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. This day is a day, as one is just indicated. I think it's a twofold day for us. I think we presenting our results and the report, and also saying we're going to be bidding farewell to one of our board members. So it's a day which has a planned side and an unplanned side. We obviously would be going to a funeral on Saturday. So I think that is the unplanned side, because that has happened and we have to pay our respects to one of our own. Then the second part is the part which actually was a planned one, where we are to share with everyone gathered here today our 2023-24 annual results. What has happened, I think I must indicate, one is overwhelmed by the presence of everyone who's here. One mistake committed, I think ordinarily we always acknowledge, I think, our guests, and from where I'm standing, I'm seeing faces that have traveled in order to be here. I'm not saying those who drove and got here aren't as important as those who had to fly down to be here. We are all important, but it's a sign, in my view, of good things to happen. It's a sign of an indication that indeed, if we do collaborate, we would turn the corner. The corner to be turned is the one that really talks about water and sanitation services. Basically, that's the business in which we are as a board. Everyone is welcome, as I've said. Everyone, you feel at home. This is also our home, which we've hired in order so that we can accommodate everyone. My task is a fairly narrow task, I think, in the nature of what we are here about. I think I must indicate firstly that I think as a board, we have managed to employ the chief executive, Mr. Usandile Mkhize. And all those who I think were a year ago recall that we moaned about these Hollywood style of positions. We had many people in acting positions. And we also had to create other executive positions because the space we finding ourselves and the level at which we found the organization, I think it just required us probably to up the ramp in terms of how we would want to see things done so that we don't have a history that drags us back and that actually costs money. I can tell the gathering today that indeed we fill the position of the chief executive, we fill the position of the chief operating officer, we fill the position of the executive infrastructure development, and the position we created is the chief procurement officer. Without that kind of an approach in ensuring that the projects which Mr. Mkwana, the CFO, will talk to you about in terms of our budget, if we don't do the correct processing, planning, we eventually gonna add more losses and actually more misery because these projects have to make water security better for the people of this province. We also had gone through a reconfiguration process. We call it a process because it was merging the two institutions into one institution. As you all gathered in here today, we're doing one presentation. Just a year ago, we had to drive to Richards Bay to do a presentation, and we had to do a presentation this side of Durban. Now it's one organization, one entity, one business, and with an objective really of doing this wall-to-wall coverage of the province, because everyone has to have access to clean water, has to have access to decent sanitation services. That is the mandate that is actually imposed. That's the mandate we accepted when we accepted the nomination into the positions we are in. With those words, and also, I think one must just highlight that there is quite a bit of work that is being done in order to ensure that there is water security in the province. So when I said we fortunate, we overwhelmed, because amongst us, we have the chairperson and the CEO of TCTA, who are the ones who are responsible for the building, the construction of the Upper Mkomazi water project. May the chair and the CEO just rise, because they are here, they're going to be with us until that project is delivered. Thanks. So I'm indicating that we have resourced, because for water security, we've got to come together. We've got to collaborate, and all the objective really going forward is that we have our customers who come from municipality, who come from business, and there's one question in everyone's mind is that what is the future with water issues? And today, the COO will present in terms of the planned projects that would seek really to address those water questions. I don't want to call them anything now. Those are water questions. Why I say water questions? Because when you ask the question, when would the uMngeni dam be completed? 2030 something. But in the interim, there's got to be water. So the CEO will fill in so that everyone can feel that, oh, indeed, there might be a gap to 2032 for argument's sake. But in the interim, these are the planned projects that will be being implemented once the uMngeni dam is done. This is how the other projects will then be channeled, because water, we have to have water, enough water. We have to ensure that a river that runs down the valley, if that water could be put into good use, let us as uMngeni-uThukela Water Board ensure that our plans takes us to that level. And I want to touch the last really part of my remarks. We all know that we merged uMngeni and uThukela. And someone would always ask, I don't hear any plans, or I'm not aware of any plans of how uMngeni-uThukela Water would deliver water and sanitation into my area. I might not know your area, but I'm now really focusing more on the areas that we never serviced before. So when I say we never serviced, it means it is us in the reconfigured phase. Therefore, it has to be explained today what our plans are, because we've got to reach each and every community. Whether we reach you in 2025 or in 2027, but at least when you wait knowingly, you know by when I might be I might be next to receive. I think from my side, with those few remarks, I welcome everyone, and going to invite the CE, Mr. Mkhize, to take you through some of the aspects really of the business that we as a board have imposed upon him and his team. I can tell you, this board is not a board that operates in this business. It's a board that we are guarding our governance responsibilities, like uheshe mangabe isikhukukazi gada amachwane makindizwe uheshe. I will explain in English on another day. So, but basically, I'm saying when a hen looks after its offspring, and you know these flying animals that just grab and fly with a small chick. So I think there's a kind of a thing. So us as a board, I haven't got the impression that we want to operate in uMngeni-uThukela. But what I'm clear with my fellow board members is that we must ensure that there is governance, there is accountability. All lines are clear. We provide the support, we provide the correct policies. If a policy no longer adds value, we review the policy. We amend the policy, we put a policy in place that enables them to do their work. They know their work, I don't know their work. Therefore, I don't want at any stage to find myself arguing about a project or a dam or a procurement of some sort. Let them do it. If they do it right, it's all and good. If they do it wrong, probably that's when we talk about that accountability, which obviously everyone would expect of us. Fellow board members, it's a task that I'm sure we took together, and it's a task that we are heading towards the end of our term in 2027, which is not around the corner. We are also going to have a 2-day session, I think, as a board on a strategy. We would want to know, I think, as a board, in terms of these various projects that ought to be on the ground to cover the province. What we did, we configured ourselves, I think, as board members, into champions. So each region is a champion. So each region must have projects. Therefore, the champion needs to be there, because we can't play accountability by email, but we would want to play accountability and oversight by being visible there. When we were chatting outside with some colleagues, I was reminded some years back we had a matter in Newcastle where a service provider was paid for building a bridge that never existed. So we don't want to be that kind of a board that has paid a service provider for a service that has never been rendered. We would want to see each part of the province being reached, each part of the province being prepared, knowingly that its turn will come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for those words of welcome. As we also welcome the MEC for Kokta, who has just entered the room, Honorable Reverend Thulasizwe Buthelezi. May I also take this moment to officially observe all protocols and welcome the mayors and councillors from various municipalities present, all our uMngeni-uThukela water customers and stakeholders, both WSAs and industries. We also have in our midst the Deputy Chairperson of the Provincial House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, Inkosi Sithole. You are welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I do observe all protocols. You are welcome, Honorable MEC, and also right on time after the Chairperson of the board has given us his words of welcome. Can I also invite your honorable self to then give a few words of remarks on behalf of the KZN Kokta? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. May I extend a word of acknowledgement to Inkosi Sithole, who is the Deputy Chair of the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders in KZN, the Chairman of the Board, who Advocate Kuzwayo, CEO of uMngeni-uThukela Water, Mr. Mkhize, board members, Councillor MS Nkosi from eThekwini, who chairs the important portfolio of water in this important metro of eThekwini. I've seen some mayors who are here, the mayor of Ilembe and other honorable mayors and distinguished guests, and all stakeholders of uMngeni. I think, Program Director, let me start by apologizing, because I thought the function is starting at 1 o'clock. So I've been here since 1 o'clock waiting to be called for the function to start. And then I got a message that the function has started already. So it's not out of disrespect, but I think this is a very important occasion, especially for us as the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal to lend our support, as I acknowledge the presence also of the mayor of uMngeni-uThukela district municipality. This morning, while I was in Ulundi, I saw the presentation which was made on the performance of uThukela, uMngeni. I don't know where that meeting was, but it was on TV. And I think it highlighted the good work that uMngeni-uThukela Water is doing. But also it confirms the wisdom of the decision of the then minister, Senzo Mchunu, to merge the two entities, which was uMhlathuze Water and uMngeni Water. And I think that was a very important decision because that is aligned to the provincial water master plan of KwaZulu-Natal. And in all our engagements with the Minister of Water and Sanitation and all other stakeholders, we always emphasize that uMngeni-uThukela Water is the water board for KZN in its entirety, not for the urban areas of KwaZulu-Natal, but for Hluhluwe, for uMngeni-uThukela, for Opianeni, KwaNongoma, for Ndindindi in Umzinyathi, for Utrecht, Emajuba, and all the corners of KZN who are still suffering from a lack of access to reliable and sustainable supply of water. So therefore, I think this stakeholder engagement comes at a very critical time for us as a province as we tackle the issue of water. But maybe let me start by requesting that we observe a minute of silence in honor of the recent passing of Ms. Senamile Masango, who was a member of the board and a young female innovator in the field of nuclear science, who hailed from Nongoma, representing South Africa in many international fora. But maybe can we observe a moment of silence in honor of her recent passing? If we may just stand, please. May her soul rest in peace. Thank you. It is indeed an honor for me to address you today at this important stakeholder engagement program, because this gathering highlights the vital role that uMngeni-uThukela Water plays in ensuring water security and sustainability in our province of KwaZulu-Natal. As we review the annual performance of the uMngeni-uThukela Water Board for the 2023-2024 financial year, we are reminded of the significant responsibility that this entity carries for the success of this province. Water is essential to life, and access to clean, reliable water is a fundamental human right. And the work of uMngeni-uThukela Water goes beyond infrastructure and technical expertise, but it is about improving the quality of life for the people of our province. In our gathering here today, we are all aware of the challenges facing the water sector, not only in this province, but in the entire country. Particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, we have key issues like climate change, aging infrastructure, population growth, and increasing demand for water resources that have placed an enormous pressure on our systems. Just as we speak today, even in Umlazi, Prince Mshiyeni Hospital, the system is under pressure, enormous pressure. And various parts of the province where aging infrastructure is now giving in. However, I'm encouraged by the innovative thinking and commitment shown by uMngeni-uThukela Water in addressing these challenges. Your efforts to modernize infrastructure, implement sustainable water management practices, and engage with communities are noteworthy. These efforts, however, will not achieve the desired outcomes without a solid program of action aimed at building capacity within our municipalities, which are the water service authorities. Therefore, as a department, we have identified the following 5 critical interventions. Because part of the stakeholder engagement program, chairperson of the board advocates, we must also share our thinking as government so that the stakeholders of uMngeni know what is our thinking as the government of KwaZulu-Natal. And central to service delivery, we have placed municipalities at the coalface. And while municipalities are central to service delivery, many municipalities lack the technical, financial, and operational capacity to manage water services effectively. And to address this, we as COGTA have taken a resolution to partner with uMngeni-uThukela Water to implement a comprehensive municipal skills development program focused on technical water infrastructure management, financial planning, revenue optimization, and advanced water treatment and distribution technologies. And in this regard, we have started with uThukela District Municipality, where the deputy chairperson of the board, Ms. Mkhize, together with the COO of uThukela, uMngeni-uThukela. For me, I don't know why I always think of uThukela first. Before uMngeni. But to me, uThukela comes first, then uMngeni. I think it's a matter of geography. But we have started now with uThukela District Municipality. And the HOD for COGTA is here, Dr. Joey Krishnan. The DDG is here, Ms. Barbara Mkuchini, who have given me the draft of the MOU which will be signed between COGTA, uMngeni-uThukela Water, and uThukela District Municipality, and the Department of Water and Sanitation, where we have agreed that we hand over the function of water supply and bulk infrastructure and capital build to uMngeni-uThukela Water and ring-fence those grants. And we ring-fence the grants from COGTA. It's about 222 million for uThukela and another 100 million from the Water Services Infrastructure Grant. So it's about 322 million as a pilot. And then allow the district municipality to focus only on operations and maintenance of those schemes that were functional but that have broken down. So we want to see if it works, because we believe in the technical capacity and expertise of uMngeni-uThukela Water. So that is one of the resolutions of the uThukela Water Summit, where we have now identified this entity as the implementing agent for water in this province. So what we want to do, we want to consolidate all the resources from grants in this province. Just the MIG grant alone for water in the last financial year was 3.6 billion rand. We expect it to go to 4.2 billion in the 2025-26 financial year. But our people are not seeing value for money because uMngeni-uThukela Water has not been placed at the center of water delivery in the province. We want to change that. Secondly, we want to fast-track the establishment of the planned Provincial Water Services Academy to provide continuous professional development for municipal officials. In KZN, you have 12 water service authorities. But if you have to ask the technical directors how many of them are affiliated to the professional body of professional engineers, you will not get 100%. So the establishment of this academy will tap into the resources of uMngeni-uThukela Water so that we enhance the capacity of municipalities to deliver this core function. Also, we want to strengthen municipal support mechanisms to ensure that all municipalities, particularly the water service authorities, have the necessary capacity to deliver. And therefore, with our water infrastructure, which is aging and often unable to meet the growing demands, we need to partner and embark on a large-scale infrastructure renewal program. And in this regard, we are focused on the following hotspot areas: eThekwini, Amajuba, uThukela, uMzinyathi, Zululand, and uMkhanyakude. That is the package of municipalities that we are focused on. And what is good is that uMngeni-uThukela itself have done the diagnostic report for uThukela district, focusing on what is immediately actionable, the long-term goals, and the short to medium term. And that diagnostic report is going to inform our strategy in the other district municipalities, which I've mentioned, with a core focus on upgrading water treatment plants to increase purification capacity, replacing aging pipeline networks with durable modern materials to reduce leakages and water losses. In uMngeni-uThukela, for example, a key part of the reticulation network is still using asbestos. Now, besides the inefficiency of asbestos, the hazard to life when the end consumer consumes that water is something that we need to urgently address. And I'm glad that uMngeni-uThukela Water will partner with us to ensure that we get rid of this asbestos piping in many of our networks. We would like to introduce smart water management technologies to improve efficiency and reduce non-revenue water. There are places in this province where people have built beautiful houses worth millions in our rural areas. You can go to Mbumbulu, you can go along the N2 on your way to uMngeni-uThukela. Beautiful houses worth millions. But they don't want to pay just a 10,000 rand connection fee to the water pipeline. They want to have access to free water. But they have the means to pay. And among the things we must demystify as a people and as a government is this culture of people always expecting to get a free government service. It's not sustainable. Those who can afford to pay must pay for water. And through the smart meter systems, we want to catch those. There's no reason why any house along the N2 between Durban and uMngeni-uThukela should not be paying for water. But because people are settling in rural areas, they want to take advantage of the fact that people are not paying for water, when indeed they're in a position to pay. And because people are connecting illegally to the network, that then results in a lot of non-revenue water. Because in a certain water treatment plant, people are purifying 60 megaliters of water per day, but they're only able to get revenue for 10 megaliters a day, because 50 million is lost along the way. It's lost through leaks, and it's lost through people who do not want to pay for water when they should be paying for water. So that is an issue we're addressing. And then finally, to develop and implement a focused sanitation strategy for metros and secondary cities and rural areas where inadequate sanitation services are compromising public health. If you go to Western Cape, there is not a single municipality that does not meet the standards of the green drop and the blue drop. Not a single one. But you come to our areas, and it has just become acceptable that the sanitation systems would not be kept according to the necessary standards. And our people then suffer from the long-term effects of consuming water that is not fit for human consumption. Therefore, as I draw to a close, in our effort to accelerate infrastructure delivery and ensure single-point accountability, the Department of COGTA in KZN supports using uMngeni-uThukela Water as the preferred implementing agent for water service projects in the province. What this will do, it will streamline procurement, it will streamline project implementation, and will enhance financial oversight and ensure that our investments yield maximum impact. There is a district here in this province where, as COGTA, we have invested 153 million in a regional bulk scheme. If you close your eyes, I can tell you where is that district. The project was supposed to take 18 months to complete from 2020, 153 million. So to date, we have spent 152.5 million out of 153 million, but not a single drop of water is coming out. 5 years later, not a single drop. So I went to the community, I visited the homes, all the households. On paper, they are connected to the network. On paper, they are receiving water. But in reality, there is not a drop of water. And the only expenditure which is there is the fencing around a concrete reservoir, 152 million. So I have said to the HOD, if heads don't roll for that project, then I think we should consider our own positions in government. What are we doing? If we can allow the people's money just to be squandered and abused like that. So I think this new approach of having uMngeni-uThukela water as a preferred service provider for these projects will ensure that water flows from the taps and that we as leaders focus on the core mandate to which people elected us, which is to ensure service delivery, and we allow the water boards to do the work on the ground. Therefore, Chairperson and members of the board, it is an absolute pleasure for me to participate in this engagement as our municipalities are key stakeholders. But none of these interventions can succeed without strong partnerships between the government, the private sector, and communities. We must break down the silo mentality and work collectively to overcome barriers that hinder service delivery. We must enforce governance and accountability frameworks to prevent mismanagement and wasteful expenditure. And finally, we must commit to long-term solutions rather than short-term reactive measures that fail to address root causes. On Thursday, we are signing an MOU for disaster management in the province between government, the private sector, and civil society. JSE-listed companies will be signing that MOU because as business, they are putting their money to ensure that as a province, we have what you call climate change resilient infrastructure. So there's nothing stopping us in the sector of water for us to adopt a similar approach. I would therefore like to congratulate the staff and leadership of uMngeni-uThukela Water for your dedication and the sterling work that you are doing, particularly in our disadvantaged communities. Your commitment ensures that the organization continues to deliver on its mandate, even amidst significant challenges. As the leadership and management of uMngeni, you are the backbone of this entity, and your efforts are appreciated. To the board chairperson, Advocate Vusi Kuzwayo, and the entire board, thank you for your leadership and your vision. Your guidance has been instrumental in steering the organization forward. I remember last year, in my previous life, we met with the board on January 2, out in uMngeni-uThukela. And today I'm happy that I'm friends with the board. Because in that meeting, we needed a referee just to see that no one throws the first punch. But I'm very happy about the work that the board is doing, and through you, Advocate Kuzwayo, we really thank the work that the board is doing. So let us remember that our work is not just about meeting targets or balancing budgets. Our work is about transforming lives and building a better future for the people of KwaZulu-Natal. Let us continue to work together with innovation and determination to overcome the water challenges which are plaguing this province. Thank you very much for giving me this time, and may we all live here today inspired to redouble our efforts in service of the communities of this province. I thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC. I think when you started your speech, you were committing the verbal faux pas, which you acknowledge, of saying, uThukela uMngeni, but I was counting. By the time you got to the end, you were converted to a true friend and correctly saying, it is uMngeni-uThukela water. I think your words actually speak testament to what you had actually promised when the board was first introduced to yourself upon its inauguration, or rather your own inauguration as the MEC for Kokta, where you expressed a genuine desire to see uMngeni-uThukela water going into those municipalities, particularly those that we had previously not served in rural areas, to work with them, and the signing of the MOU between ourselves and the uThukela district, with our sites now firmly focused on other districts such as uMzinyathi and Amajuba. And of course, with your good patronage, we are certain we will succeed. Can I now call onto the stage our CEO, Mr. Sandile Psychology Mkhize, to also give us an organizational overview. Thank you.
Program Director, MEC for Kokta, Chairperson of the board, board members, Honorable Deputy Chair of the House of the Sectional Leaders and Khoisan, the Honorable Councillors and Mayors in the House, colleagues, I greet you all. I am here to provide the performance of the organization during the financial year 2023-2024. This is the year where we're, for the first time, operating as one entity, which is uMngeni-uThukela Water, after the amalgamation of Estual uMhlathuze and the Estual uMngeni Water to form this glorious organization called uMngeni-uThukela Water. Maybe before I even delve into my presentation, let me thank the Honorable MEC, Sogalisa, for the confidence you have shown on uMngeni-uThukela water. And let me promise you that having worked with this board, I know that the challenge and the mandate that you have given to us, we will run with it and will deliver to the best of our ability on this mandate to ensure that the people of South Africa receive the best water and sanitation services. I can also share without any fear that the team that is led by Advocate Ukuzwayo is well positioned to ensure that we partner with as much stakeholders, especially the water service authorities in the area of KwaZulu-Natal, so that we ensure that there is a wall-to-wall provision of water and sanitation services. Having said that, I want to premise my talk today on the legislative framework that governs the mandate that we are implementing as a water board. We are a water board formed in terms of section 28 of the Water Service Authority, where we get a mandate from section 29 of the Water Services Act and section 30, which gives us other mandate to provide water and sanitation related services. After the amalgamation of the two entities, which is the Estuary uMhlathuze and the uMngeni Water, we had a mandate that was expanded through the Gazette, where now we are operating in the whole of KwaZulu-Natal. I'll show you shortly that there are some areas where we still don't have a footprint as uMngeni-uThukela water, but there are plans and there is a master plan, infrastructure and sanitation master plan for us to be able to then go into those areas and start to change and turn around the water and sanitation services in the country. As I've said, we are entity operating in terms of Water Services Act and also created in terms of the Public Finance Management Act, the PFMA, as a Schedule 3B government business enterprise. What that means is that as a government business enterprise, we are expected to operate this entity of the government as a business. We don't receive any allocations from the fiscus. So the expectation is that through our operations, we must generate surplus, and that surplus we need to then reinvest in the upkeep of the existing infrastructure and the expansion of the infrastructure. So when you see us engaging vigorously during the tariff consultation, it's because we know that our tariff has to be cost reflective, and it must be able to ensure that we are able to sustain the operation of the organization, maintain the existing infrastructure, and also expand the infrastructure, because there is no money in the fiscus that is going to be made available for us to do that function. We report to the Minister of Water and Sanitation, who is the accounting authority, accounting executive, and the minister then reports to Parliament through the Portfolio Committee of Water and Sanitation, which conducts oversight of the water entities. As I've said, the reporting line that I'm showing is the one that I've just talked about. As an organization, as at end of June 2024, we had 1,801 employees, 1,414 were permanent employees, 143 were employees from uMngeni Holdings, which is one of our subsidiary, and 244 were employees with fixed-term contracts. I must state that as an uMngeni-uThukela Water, we have formed 2 subsidiaries. uMngeni Holding, which is tasked with the responsibility of water resources management and managing the resorts that are within the areas or the resources that we are managing. And then we have formed another entity called uMngeni Water Services, which is responsible for partnering with the municipalities and for generating business for the group, which is the parent company, uMngeni-uThukela Water. And the reason why we have opted for this approach is that we felt that as uMngeni-uThukela Water, we want to focus on the core mandate, which is your Section 29 in delivery of bulk water and sanitation services, while the subsidiaries, they deal with the Section 30 business that will enable also our customers to be able to do well in their services that they are providing. When you look at the structuring now of the divisions within uMngeni-uThukela Water, I must apologize up front, it's not 4 and 5, it's 5 divisions. Maybe it's because the 5th division is a recent division that is less than a month old that we have created. So the 5 divisions is the Office of the Chief Executive Division. We have the Finance Division, we have the Operations, we have the Shared Service Division, and then the latest one is the Procurement Division. The reason why we opted for this is that we have realized that in the way we are doing business, we need to be responsive, and also we need to have accountability. And we felt that lumping such a big function under the finance division was not the optimal way of doing business. As a result, we separated finance and procurement and created a new division, which is led by the Chief Procurement Officer, whom we have just recently appointed. We envision ourselves as a leader in the sustainable water services in the developing world. So we don't want to confine ourselves to say we are only confining ourselves here in KwaZulu-Natal, but we are saying we want to look at other areas where they can benefit from the services that we are able to render as uMngeni-uThukela Water. But when you look at our mission, we are saying we want to create value for our customer. We don't just want to be there without any value add as an entity. By providing the water services at a right quality and quantity within acceptable levels of reliability, which is key. I heard that the MEC spoke about the issue of water supply in Prince Mshieni, where it's an issue of reliability. The water does come, but after certain days. We want to have a situation whereby when we provide the water services, we can guarantee that if we are saying 365 days a year, you will have water for a period of 365 days in a year. We want also to support economic development in KwaZulu-Natal. Water is an economic enabler, and we feel that as people tasked with managing water and sanitation, we play a key role in enabling economic development in the areas where we are operating. I believe that there is no area that can develop without water. And if you look at all the cities in the world, except for Johannesburg, what I'm told, that they are developed along the major rivers because of the issue of water that helps in the development. As I've stated, that in terms of the area of supply, KwaZulu-Natal has just over 94,000 square kilometers with 12.42 million population. This is according to the latest statistics that we received. When you look at the map, the dark green areas, we are showing areas where we have operation and footprint. And when you look at the areas up, which are light green, we are showing areas where we don't yet have a footprint as uMngeni-uThukela water. We are saying that KwaZulu-Natal has 54 municipalities. 14 of those are water service authorities. These are municipalities that are given the responsibility and the function of water and service provision. Out of the 14 municipalities, uMngeni-uThukela water, we have a footprint in 8 of those water service authorities, and we are putting measures in place to expand our service to service even the remaining 6 water service authorities where at the moment we do not have footprint. And also this aligns with the confidence that has been shown by the Honorable MEC on us to say we want to partner. We don't want to take over water and sanitation services, but we want to be a partner of choice with the municipalities in this area so that we can turn around the issue of water and sanitation provision in the province and ensure that we have a wall-to-wall supply of water. If you look at the governance status, we are confirming that the Minister of Water and Sanitation appointed the current board led by Advocate Kuzwayo on the 1st of October 2023. That was immediately at the beginning of the second quarter of the financial year, which we are talking about now, 2023-2024 financial year. It means that this board is the one that guided the organization for the better part of the financial year in driving the performance of the organization to the level which we have achieved. The chairperson of the board has also spoke about the appointment of the CEO on the 1st of July 2024, and also the filling of the vacant position. I can safely say that at an executive level, there is no one who is in Hollywood. All executives are permanently appointed. So the first phase of reconfiguration has gone well. We are now in the second phase of the reconfiguration of the two entities that were merged, where we are in the process of finalizing the filling of the positions below the executive level, and we are confident that come the end of this financial year, we will be having one organization that is operating as one uMngeni-uThukela water, not two entities that are operating as one. In terms of the performance of the organization against the shareholder compact, we have been able to achieve performance in the 90% level. But in terms of the performance, in terms of the governance, the Auditor General has confirmed that once more in this year, we have achieved an unqualified audit. This is now the 5th year and beyond where this organization is achieving an unqualified audit, which is one less level than the desired performance that we want to achieve as uMngeni-uThukela, which is a clean audit. I must say that with the leadership of the board and the current executive management, we have already started to put measures in place to say how do we then get to achieving the clean audit. We have started with the segregation of finance and procurement. The second step was setting up of what you call a clean audit task team, which is responsible for dealing with historical irregular expenditure, dealing with issues of consequence management, and dealing with issues of condonation of the irregular expenditure, and closing all the cases that are still open. And we believe that once we have come to the point where we have fully implemented the recommendations of this clean audit task team, we will be moving closer as an organization towards achieving a clean audit. So we are intentional about what we want to achieve as an organization, and the board is supporting us as management that we must move beyond now the unqualified audit towards a clean audit performance. When you look at the performance against the shareholder compact, that is the compact, or that is the agreement that the board, through the chairperson, signs with the Minister of Water and Sanitation. And I must say that this shareholder compact it's a framework that is similar to all other 7 water boards that we have in the country. And when you look at the performance, we achieved a 96.2% performance. And I must say, in the recent engagement with the Minister of Water and Sanitation, where he was reviewing the performance of the entities that report to her, it became apparent that out of the 7 water boards, uMngeni-uThukela Water was the #1 performer in terms of the achievement of the targets. We can also indicate that for the year under consideration, we treated 665 million cubic liters of potable water, and that water, it complied with SANS 241 2015 standards, the South African water standards. We also increased the throughput of wastewater that was treated in our systems by 5%. When you look at the implication of this, especially in the area of eThekwini, is that because of the treatment that we have achieved, the high level of treatment and throughput of treating the wastewater to the acceptable quality standard or discharge standard, we're able to ensure that the beaches are not closed because of the overload of the rivers that discharge to the sea with the sewer and the human waste, thus causing high levels of E. coli. So our work has already started to bear fruits, and we believe that through the partnership that exists with eThekwini, we will continue to be able to assist the eThekwini with the treatment of wastewater and ensure that the beaches remain open, and that the visitors that come and spend time in our shores, they are ensured that their health is in good hands. When you look at the expenditure, capital expenditure, I want to report that we had spent 2.8 billion rand in the year under review, of which 2.3 billion was spent on water and sanitation delivery infrastructure, including the maintenance of the existing infrastructure and also the upgrade and of the infrastructure. So for me, this is money well spent because we are ensuring that the sustainability of the current service and also there is a future growth to meet the expanding demand for the water that we have. When you look at the project milestones, we achieved 88%. We would like to be in the 90 and above. So there is still room for improvement as an organization. But in terms of the world standard, we are still within the 80% percentile, which shows that in terms of expenditure, we have done well in achieving the project milestones. If I can just point on the lowlights for the year 2023-2024, we had an unplanned supply disruption of just over 12 days in a year in 4 of the 19 water treatment systems. But if I put this into context, when you look at the norms and standards in South Africa, the expectation is that we can go up to 15 days of interruption that are lasting for 48 hours. But because we have set ourselves a stringent measure as an entity, we then said the 12.7 days of interruption is not acceptable. We would like to go to the point whereby we are able to supply water in all our systems for 365 days without any interruptions. There has been also some internal processes that has made us not to be able to achieve some of our key objectives, like the payment of our supplier invoices within the regulated 30 days. And also we have issues of internal audit findings that were not achieved in terms of the target. And as I've stated earlier, we have already put in place measures to turn around the system, to create system efficiencies by also starting separating finance and the procurement division. And we believe that with the measures that we have already taken internally, we will start to turn around also these internal inefficiencies that has made us not to achieve well in this performance. In terms of the projects that are implemented in rural areas, which is the capital spend on rural projects, there is one project that was delayed, which is uMngeni Phase 4 project. This was delayed because of the delays in the completions of the designs. We have since put measures in place to fast-track the project, and I'm happy to say that this project now, as at the end of Q2, which was end of December 2024, is now moving at a construction phase. And because of the fast track that we're able to put, we are going to be able to catch up with the desired completion time. In terms of the water that we are supplying to our customers, I can safely say that over the past 5 years, going forward, uMngeni-uThukela water has consistently supplied water that meets and exceeds the SANS 241 2015 National Drinking Water Standards. So when you drink water from uMngeni-uThukela, you can rest assured that the water that you are drinking is water that meets the highest standard in the land, and it's a water that you don't need to buy bottled water. You can drink it directly from the tap. When you look at the investment on infrastructure, which I've talked about. If you look at over the past 7 years, there's been a gradual increase in the expenditure in infrastructure, as we have stated that 2.8 billion in the 2023-24 financial year was spent in the infrastructure upgrade and maintenance. We are moving with speed. We are aggressive in rolling out infrastructure in the province, and we want to ensure that there is water security for the future. Hence, we are building projects like the Lower uMngeni, which is meant to augment the water supply in eThekwini and Ugu district municipality, which the COO will talk about. And we are implementing projects in the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal, in the Lower uThukela, which also means that we will have water security in the Ilembe district municipality and other municipalities in that area. And as I stated earlier, we had achieved 88% of the infrastructure project milestones in the year under review. When you look at the human capital, which is the key asset that we have, which is our employees, we had developed 39 graduates through the National Treasury Development Program, where these graduates were able to register as professional engineers and technologists. We also had 21 employees that completed the Supervisory Development Program. We had 57 apprentices that were appointed in the apprentice program, 35 graduate trainees, 33 in service, and 31 interns. That is creating an opportunity for those graduates and employees that do not have experience to gain work exposure and be able to be employable when they want to compete in the job market out there. 525 process controllers were trained in the various water and wastewater treatment courses, and these are the courses that are SAQA accredited. So these are the employees that can use this qualification for the competition when they are looking for opportunities elsewhere. 2 executives and 17 employees were enrolled in the Executive Management Development Program, and 36% of the workforce were developed in the qualifications that are relevant to the skills that their jobs require. If we look at the future and the outlook, where do we look at ourselves in the future? We are saying that when you look at the water services landscape, it's full of opportunities, but also it's full of risks. We need to put strategies in place to capitalize on the opportunities while we put risk management measures in place to mitigate against those risks. As uMngeni-uThukela Water, we want to assure you as our key stakeholder and customers that we are capable enough to be able to provide and to partner with you in the provision of water and sanitation services. I will also urge our customers to say, before you go and engage external service providers on water service related provision, consider this entity, which is a state-owned institution. You are empowered also by Section 19.2 of the Water Services Act that give us a right of refusal first before you can engage with the private sector to provide services that we are best positioned to provide. So we will employ you to then partner with us going forward so that we can turn around the water and sanitation situation in the province and to ensure that we have a wall-to-wall supply of water in the province. With those words, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you very much, CE. To your last point, we have also transcended provincial boundaries. We have in our midst colleagues from the Alfred Nzo district. So indeed, our excellences have been tried and they have not been found wanting. Can I now call upon the CFO, Ndonga, to please come and give us the financial aspects of our performance? Thank you.
I would like to maybe first acknowledge the Honorable MEC, Chairperson of the Board and the Board, the Honorable Mayors, Ondabezita, Abakona, and all the councillors, as well as the colleagues from the different customers, municipalities and departments, as well as colleagues from uMngeni-uThukela Water. I'm going to present sorry, its technology is it's very slow. Okay, there you go. I'm going to present the financial results for the year ended June 2024. And I would like to start maybe with just a note that as this is the first year where we were combining the former uMhlathuze and former uMngeni into one organization, you will then see a lot of the variances that are quite increased, but it will be because it is the first time that we are actually combining the two entities. And in the previous financial year, you would have had only uMngeni Water as an entity, and then you now have the combined entities. The purpose is then to just give an overview of the financial performance, position, and financial results as outlined in our annual report for 2023-2024. And obviously to then present also the financial results as at 30 June 2024. Oh yeah, there you go. So, whilst uMngeni-uThukela Water performed at 96% performance overall as an organization, on the strategic objective of financial sustainability, we achieved 99.6%. The bulk water revenue increased by 19%, and this was due to volume increases in the average bulk water tariff increase of 6% in 2023-24. The group's gross profits increased by 23% from 3 billion rands up to 3.7 billion rands. We'll get to the detail as to how we got to that number. And then uMngeni-uThukela Water's operating profit also increased by 15% to 679 million from 592 in the previous financial year. And then the group surplus for the year ended 30 June 2024 increased by 28% from 1.1 billion rands in the previous financial year to 1.4 billion rands in the current financial year. I would like to maybe make a comment there. I think CEO had made mention. As we are an SOE, we actually make a surplus. We don't have shareholders. The only shareholder is the Department of Water and Sanitation. Whatever surpluses we generate, we then actually reinvest back into our capital expenditure program, which I will also highlight to show that how we then actually have to build up reserves so that we can fund the future projects that we have to implement. The asset base also increased by 24%, which was mainly driven by the increase in investments on hand, and that's mainly from delays in projects that we needed to actually implement. And obviously, we also had assets from former uMngeni-uThukela that actually were consolidated, which then showed the 24% increase. And then just to get to some detail, so our revenue increased by 31%, and this is mainly due to growth in bulk water sales volumes of about 10%, as well as the 6% tariff increase that was approved by the minister in the previous financial year. The two municipalities that were drivers of the increase in water sales volumes were eThekwini municipality, as well as uMsunduzi municipality. And you can see on the column towards the end there, where eThekwini has 416 million kiloliters, and uMsunduzi was on 79 million kiloliters. But you'll see that the major customer here in terms of volumes is eThekwini. On the cost of sales, our cost of sales have got cost drivers that make up what we call cost of sales. These increased by 43%, but I'll just maybe touch a little bit on each of these cost drivers. The first one being chemicals. So we had a 47% increase in chemicals in the 2023-24 financial year. This increase was actually driven by the average price increase of about 8% of the chlorine and the bentonite and lime. But there was also usage increases of all the chemicals, leading to an overall increase of about 21% with coagulants and bentonite the highest. So I think somewhere with regards to having our water having more turbidity as well as pollution, you then end up having to actually use more. And obviously with the volumes also having increased, you then have to process more of the water with chemicals. And then we also had a 22% contribution from the consolidation between uMngeni and uMngeni-uThukela. On energy is electricity. We'll remember that Eskom had a tariff of 16% in the previous financial year, but we also had to add the expenses of the Richards Bay office, which is former uMngeni-uThukela, which contributed about 18%. Those two combined actually contributed the 33% increase in the energy costs. We look at maintenance. Maintenance increased by 60%, and obviously this relates to external maintenance costs. The major contributor was King Cetshwayo District Municipality, and that is mainly based on the fact that they also have smaller schemes that will require more maintenance in that particular area, and also there were additional costs that were incurred in Hlabachane. And then there were also additional costs that we incurred on the contract that we have with eThekwini municipality on the 10 wastewater plants that we manage, and that was about 31 million rands, as well as Richards Bay costs that increased by a further 11%. Direct staff costs increased by 25%, and that relates to also the consolidation of the two entities, but also with the high performance, we had to provide for a bonus for employees, which also had a little bit of a contribution in the increase. Raw water. We do actually pay for raw water to the Department of Water and Sanitation. and the increase there was 16%. Raw water increase, there was a volume increase of about 8% in the uMngeni system and about 11% for the Hazelmere system. And then the tariff increases that we got from the department was 11% on the uMngeni system, 12% on the lower uThukela system, and about 8% in the Hazelmere system. Other operating and administrative costs went up by 53%. The contribution there was staff costs. Obviously, as we said, the combination of the two entities would have contributed. There was asset impairments where we built systems or plans, mostly in the rural areas, where if you do an internal rate of return, you find that you're not going to be able to then recover the cost. Our accounting policies require us to then impair those assets based on what we're going to actually be able to recover as revenue in that area. So in the year 23-24, that impairment was about 187 million rands that we had to impair. And then we have credit losses of 531 million. This is now the cost that we have to provide for those customers of ours who either the debt is overdue or they have not paid us. So we've had to take about 531 million rands of the credit losses in the year 23-24. And then we then had net finance income of about 786 million rands, and probably would say that that's our savior in terms of the profit number that we actually are reporting. Because if you look at the 1.4 billion rands, 786 million was actually interest, which means the only profits from operations was 700 million rands, and then obviously with the investments. But investments are not our core business, so whatever we've got in investments now, we'll probably have to start utilizing when we actually ramp up our capital expenditure program. And then the profit for the year was up 26% at 1.4 billion rands. And then just looking at the financial position, which is practically the balance sheet, I think I had already stated that our asset base grew by 24%. And obviously our property, plant and equipment increased by 30%, which is an equivalent of 2.9 billion rands for the group. And then our accounts receivables grew by 17.5%, and this is mainly due to the non-payments or late payments by our customers on outstanding balances as our debtors. There is the 24% movement that we are showing in the balance sheet. And then obviously this is just the equity and liability side of the whole balance sheet. At the top there, it shows an accumulated profit of about 16.6 billion rands, which is about the 3.2 billion rand movement from the previous financial year. And obviously, as I stated, these are reserves that we keep to then be able to then deliver on our capital expenditure program. And when we look at our capital expenditure at a high level, COO will then get into the detail of some of the projects that we're busy implementing. But when you look just at a high level, our budget for 2024 was 2.9 billion rands. The actual was 2.839 billion, so we were very much close to achieving our target. But what I wanted to show is what we actually have planned for 2025, where that budget of 2.9 billion goes up to 4.5 billion rands, which then means that, as I say, we are having quite an increase in our capital expenditure program as we go along. I think over the next 5 years, that program is about 15 billion rands. Now, just to highlight a few projects that are contributors to our capital expenditure program, is uMngeni water project. That's the upper uMngeni. I think we are in partnership with our colleagues at TCTA, who will be working on the dam and will be working on the water treatment works. And the water treatment works element or estimate is sitting at 8.2 billion rands. And then Lower Umkomazi bulk water supply scheme, there's about 6.1 billion rands projected as part of the capital expenditure. Then we've got Lower uThukela, which is at this detailed design stage, but the estimate is 1.4 billion rands. We've got Greater Mpofana bulk water supply scheme. That project has been completed. It is part of the rural expansion, and it's under Umgungundlovu District Municipality at a cost of 1 billion rands. We've got Umhlabachane sub-regional scheme, phase 2. It's at detailed design and construction of access road stage, and it is a rural expansion as well. And this falls under Uku District Municipality at 852 million rands. Just looking at our cash flow, how we utilize our funds, this is now money in the bank. We do actually take all excess funds into investments in terms of our investment policy, but we then keep money in the bank for cash flow and actually managing our working capital. You will then notice that in 2024, net cash from operating activities went up by 465 million, whilst the net cash used in investing activities reduced from 2.2 billion rands down to 1.8 billion. That's a movement of about 455 million rands. And then the net cash used in finance activities was up slightly by about 19 million rands. That then actually gave us a closing bank balance in 2024 of 658 million in the bank, keeping in mind that we have 6.6 billion rand sitting in investments. And then obviously a movement of 368. So we had a slight increase in our bank balance from 290 to 658. If we look at how we then fund some of these projects, Treasury then has to approve our borrowing limits. And as we said, we have a capital expenditure program of about 19 billion rands. We won't be able to then fund it through our reserves. We have to then go out to the market and then borrow so that we are able to then fund some of these capital expenditure projects. For 2024, Treasury had approved us to borrow 3.3 billion, but we actually are currently sitting at about 1 billion rands. We have one major loan of about 935 million that we had borrowed from the European Investment Bank. That loan is due for redemption in 2026, so we're gonna be paying that loan back in 2026. But we have actually been putting money aside over the past 2 years where we've been accumulating so that the 935 million does not become a big burden when we have to pay it back. Then we have the gross debt to equity ratio. It shows that because we've only had that one loan and we haven't actually borrowed, we've been in a position whereby we didn't need to borrow. I think you'll notice 2020, 2021, and part of 2022. That's during the COVID pandemic, and this is where you'll find that we had quite a reduced amount of capital expenditure that we did because of the lockdowns that we had. But we're going to start ramping up. So 2025, 26, we'll start seeing that gross debt to equity ratio going up because we're going to be approaching the markets, I think, in end of 26, 27, to start borrowing to fund the programs. I will stop here and then maybe allow the COO to come through and present the planned CAPEX projects. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO. Ladies and gentlemen, it can be a mouthful, but we will have the presentations ready electronically via memory sticks. So fear not, we shall open the floor to questions and answers as well, if you have any clarities. With that, COO, can I invite you to come forward, Sanele Mazibugo, to give us the capital projects and the infrastructure elements. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, as you are telling me, Mama Kand. Greetings to the Honorable MEC Shenge Sowalisa. Greetings to the Chairperson of the Board and the Board in its entirety. Skule Gundabezita Ujobe. Greetings to board members from TCTA. Greetings to all mayors present. Greetings to all our colleagues from various departments. My presentation is going to take a different shape because we have obviously discussed the performance of the organization through the past two presentations. We are just going to be talking service delivery in this presentation. And briefly, from here on, we are saying that alignment is very important. When the government of the country and its people, when they say that everyone has a right to access to sufficient water, and also the environment whilst executing that has to be protected. Therefore, uMngeni-uThukela Water has a keen interest as one of the key role players in execution and achieving this mandate. We are therefore aligning ourselves to that. And through the National Development Plan also, which have strict, not necessarily strict because we are closer to the time, but when this was envisaged, it looked like it was far-fetched. But we are talking 5 years now, and the government of the country wants full access to reliable water and sanitation services to all its citizens. So this is the task at large. And obviously with the international community, we ascribe to the Sustainable Development Goals. And with that, our shareholder, which is the Department of Water and Sanitation, through its Water and Sanitation Master Plan, we obviously draw from that and also draw from other key provincial documents where we look at the Coctas Condition Assessment as one key document as we are going to be looking into the future to cover wall-to-wall coverage for the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And key to that is that we have our own universal water access plan. This plan, combined with the Coctas condition assessment, give us a full view of what must happen in every corner of the province of KwaZulu-Natal in terms of the existing infrastructure, in terms of the new infrastructure that will see the population of the province to realize the full benefit and wall-to-wall coverage by year 2050. We will therefore work on all these documentations. We consolidate into our own infrastructure master plan, which is updated annually based on the changing needs to be refined to give us better results. So these documents are very key because they look at wall-to-wall coverage from source all the way to the consumer. So it details what must happen from the resource itself, what must happen through conveyance to treatment and all the way to reticulation. So all is known and is costed. So this is our baseline going into the future. But let's just quickly recap on the year of reporting in terms of this service delivery we are talking about. Here we are just translating the performance into the actual service delivery. We are stating that on average we produced 1,700 megaliters per day of water, and we have produced that through the existing systems, as I think the CEO has alluded to the fact that we are still operating in 8 district municipalities or water services authorities. Obviously, we are looking to cover the whole province of KwaZulu-Natal. To highlight in this slide, looking on the table on your right, the various systems, the biggest system, which is uMngeni system, supplying eThekwini, among others, it does show that we have over-abstracted. This is the water we abstract from the river. This is the reason why we have what we call curtailment. to ensure that in the near future, we don't run to a risk of non-supply in our reserves. Having said that, we would like to report that in the foreseeable future, uMngeni-uThukela Water is in a comfortable state to continue providing water to all our customers. This is indicated by the various dams and the capacities. With that, there are a few dams that have just been upgraded, one by the Water and Sanitation. This is the Hazelmere Dam, and we are now able to impound fully. There are other few dams that were undergoing repairs. Just to highlight the Lutega Dam, seeing that we have our colleagues from the Eastern Cape here, we acknowledge your presence. We have successfully completed this repair and have since applied for full impoundment of this dam. So we should be realizing full benefits of this dam in the near future. So let me just quickly summarize the infrastructure plan. The infrastructure plan, we all know that we have what we call the uMngeni project, which is executed jointly by the Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority and ourselves. TCTA is doing the raw water component of that, and this is a long-term project which will see about 6 district municipalities that we currently service resolve all water issues. So this means that full supply of water with no risk of non-supply. This will happen by 2032. But how do we get there? What happens in the interim? In the interim, we have a couple of schemes that are strategic in nature to cover our current supply areas. In Uku and eThekwini, we have the Lower uMngeni scheme, which will bring into the system 100 megaliters per day. This is the scheme that we have already started. It is packaged in various contracts, including a dam, which started construction last year. And we envisage that this project will complete towards the end of 2027. So in the interim, we will have some assurance of supply in this southern part of Uku and eThekwini. If you go towards Ilembe, going to the north, we are finalizing the upgrade of the KwaMaphumulo scheme from 6 to 12 megaliters per day. So this will cover the shortages in that area. And also throughout the whole of Ilembe, we have the secondary bulk type of a project, which we call uMshwathi Phase 4. This will ultimately connect all citizens of Ilembe and will be supplemented later on again when Upper uMngeni project is completed, because we will now be able to take most water from the uMngeni system and supply throughout the Ilembe region. As we go up also, Ilembe and King Cetshwayo, provisions will be made through the Lower uThukela treatment scheme, which will be upgraded from 55 to 110 megaliters per day. The designs are complete. We are going to the market for construction, and that will resolve issues of water supply as we go up Mandeni and all the way to the King Cetshwayo district municipalities. And then going all the way to the north, we are augmenting raw water supply. We have a resource in uThukela. We want to take that water to augment the Mhlathuze system. This is to make sure that in the city of Richards Bay, where we have a huge growth in terms of the Richards Bay industrial zone, we have industrial customers there. We want to be a key player in supporting that economic development. That project is going to be commissioned from the end of February going on. So we will be assured of supply in the northern region in the near future. If you proceed, the results have been discussed, but if you may reflect, looking at the left of your screen, we are showing the dam that has started at Lower uMngeni, and we are showing the abstraction works that is almost going to be completed. And then obviously the rest of the works will include the water treatment works, which we have finally made the appointment for. These are some of the highlights from the year of reporting. The raw water resource that was affected by the floods, Remember, in the previous financial year, we had completed one phase of that. We have since completed the second leg of that, which is the aqueduct number 2, which has a capacity of around 200 megaliters per day. Again, this is assurance of supply to the city of Durban, of eThekwini. And then lastly, the upgrade of Nsezi water treatment plant in the Richards Bay area that has since been completed and commissioned. This will see an additional 60 megaliters per day of water. This is very critical as it supports the industrial customers in the Richards Bay area as well. I will not touch on the quality. CEO has spoken at length on this. Let me just come into the last critical part, which is the wall-to-wall coverage. Now that we have been reconfigured to deliver this, how are we geared to deliver this? I think we have separated the province into 4 regions, into 4 clusters. We are consolidating in the clusters that we have already footprint, and in the regions where there is no footprint, we want to step in to those regions and have an impact. I think whilst on this, we welcome the presentation and the commitments by the Honorable MEC. This will make our lives very easy. So we have 6 water services authorities that we don't have footprint currently in. But in those 6, 2 of them, we already have Section 63 directives from the Ministry of Water and Sanitation. This refers to uMngeni-uThukela District Municipality and uThukela District Municipality. So we are almost there. In uMngeni-uThukela District Municipality, we have obviously started with the resuscitation of infrastructure, which is just one component of the Section 63 directive. We are still in negotiations with the municipality to assist also with the operation and maintenance of the schemes themselves. And then in uThukela District, we have completed all the necessary groundwork in terms of the due diligences, all stakeholders involved, COGTA taking the lead, and we have given ourselves a deadline of end of February to finalize all signing documentation so that we will be able to execute our mandate. This will then allow us to implement the critical projects as outlined in the Universal Access Plan. Remember, these projects are prioritized based on the population growth and demands, and we will phase them in accordingly. But first, we must have these agreements, and I think the presentation by the MEC will make this job very easy, given that these commitments have now been made. So this will therefore mean that we will have a few left, but even in those district municipalities, we have started engagements, and in those engagements, we have partnered to a point that we have resuscitated some dysfunctional schemes. We have done some work in Zululand, in uMngeni, in Babanangu, there's a scheme we're working on there. We have done work in Zululand, in Kwamnyati. There are schemes we have resuscitated there. We have done work already in uThukela. We have resuscitated dysfunctional sewage pump station, which will assist the tourism of the region as well, because there's a bird sanctuary there which was affected by the overflowing sewage. So we are very pleased that we have already started partnering with the respective municipalities that we want to go to. So obviously the model of partnering with the municipalities will vary. It will be different from municipality to municipality, but we look forward to favorable engagements with all our municipalities. I think the next few slides will be similar. This shows the intended projects for each cluster. The first cluster will be the Northeast region, which covers King Cechao district. It goes up to uMngeni-uThukela, Zululand, and obviously the Water Service Authority, City of Mhlathuze. In this region, we have targeted projects. I've spoken of the Nsezi treatment project, which will be the cornerstone of the development in that region. And with that, it's got a few projects there which are dedicated for industrial purposes. I've spoken about the Uthukela Throw scheme, which is a transfer of raw water from Uthukela River to Mhlathuze, and along the way ensuring sustainable supply in the King Cetshwayo District Municipality. The Mandlakazi scheme is critical. Far North, this is a project that is implemented by Zululand, and we have been directed to implement parts of it. This intention here is to ensure supply to Big 5 Hlabisa from the Mandlakazi scheme, which will be upgraded by the Zululand District Municipality. And also we must upgrade works in Umkhuze and also secondary bulk around Umkhuze town and surrounding areas. This is going to be a very critical project. We are finalizing the implementation agreement with the department and the respective municipalities so that this project can kickstart. In the central region, this is where we have most WSAs that takes a lot of water. We have UMDM, we have eThekwini, we have Umsunduzi, we have Ilembe. This municipality, we have quite a number of projects which I've outlined already. Your Upper Mkomazi project, Lower Mkomazi project. The Upper Mkomazi project in terms of status, our colleagues from TCTA have moved well ahead in terms of making the necessary procurements for the designs, which have started, and we're following closely on that. We are aligning pretty much well on that aspect. The project must be in sync so that it is delivered on time and on budget. And we have a couple of other projects that are secondary bulk in nature. They extend supply from the existing systems. We have the Vulindlela project. I saw Mayor Nxamalala in the house. The project is progressing very well. We are almost completing the first phase, and we are almost ready to go to tender for the second, which is the last phase of this project. And obviously, we have spoken about KwaMaphumulo and Lower uMngeni-uThukela. I will not talk on that. And then we have the South region, which comprise the Uku district and Herikwala. Here, we want to have assurance of water supply, water resources in the form of key dams. We were directed by the department to implement the 2 dams, Chwabeni of Channel Storage Dam in Uku and Stephen Dlamini Dam in the Herikwala District Municipality. We are happy to report that after some time finalizing the financial model and implementation agreements, we have moved quite nicely on these projects to a point that in the next 2 to 3 months, we will be finalizing the designs and going to construction procurement to be able to complete these projects. I will not highlight some of the other projects, but we will be completing the South Coast Phase 2 pipeline, which will ensure that when the Lower Mkomazi project and the Upper Mkomazi projects are completed, there is secondary bulk to supply the areas in Uku district. So we are comfortable with those projects. And then lastly, the Northwest region. In Northwest region, I think I've made mention of the fact that we are embarking on Section 63 directive to take over operations and maintenance in uThukela district, and also embark on resuscitation of infrastructure. And the progress is that we are looking at finishing the necessary documentation and signings by the end of February. Program Director, as promised, this was my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, COO. I was timing you. You finished right on time. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if I could summarize this evening's proceedings in 4 sentences, I would summarize them as follows. I think the chair touched on ethical governance, and these were words that were echoed by the MEC. The CEO touched on organizational stability. The CFO touched on financial viability. And lastly, the COO spoke of a focus on infrastructure development for future water security. That is my summation of how uMngeni-uThukela water looks and how it is poised to perform going forward. But I do double up as the spokesperson of the organization, and I could in fact be taking a sunny view because of what I do. I am now curious to find out what you think based on the outcomes of the presentation. So I shall open the floor to questions and any clarities. My colleagues are moving around with roving mics. I see Ubata coming through. I already see a hand out back. I know that there are media colleagues in our midst. The MEC, Reverend Buthelezi, did say he saw the proceedings on TV. And some colleagues were keen to take a second bite of the proverbial cherry. We will do that. But for now, can we allow really the stakeholders to own the floor? I'll take your hand at the back, ma'am, if you can just introduce yourself and the organization you come from, and just indicate at whom the question is directed. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. My name is Tuli Zulu.
Can we just check the mic, please, technical colleagues?
Is that audible? Yeah. Thank you. My name is Tuli Zulu. I come from Nedbank, the primary bankers for uMngeni-uThukela.
I am struggling to hear you. My apologies, and most of the presenters.
No problem. My name is Tuli Zulu. I come from Nedbank. We are the primary bankers to yourselves, uMngeni-uThukela. We wanted first and foremost to say congratulations to this team for the outstanding results, not just from a financial point of view, from an impact point of view. We are very pleased that we have walked this journey with you, and we are very pleased with the support that we have in this room from your clients, as well as the provincial government through MEC. My question is directed to, first one is directed to CFO, and the second one to COO. The first question is really asking about what would the numbers look like had he taken into account a like-for-like performance. I'm assuming, but he can correct it, that he has used the accounting principle from an acquisition point of view. So just to maybe clarify what the shape of the organization, if you had to do a like-for-like for 2023-24. The question directed to COO is in relation to the period 27 to that breaches when the construction of uMkomazi scheme hasn't come through. Is there any dependency on extraction licenses from the department? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Can I take the questions in batches of 3 so that we will respond? I see another hand on my right from our colleague from the Alfred Nzo district. Second row, Bata. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Program Director. I understand that you had acknowledged and established protocol, but allow me to greet the MEC and the Institution of Traditional Leadership, the province of KwaZulu-Natal. One, I will start by sharing this comment, Program Director, that our presence as Alfred Nzo was almost forgotten. Even from the welcoming, it has been always about KZN only. So CSR Libalek, we understand that. That's the first part. The second part, MEC, the content of the report. I did go through the annual report upon receiving the invitation. The only part, MEC, that addresses Alfred Nzo is only in page 158, where the annual report is addressing the structure of revenue and how you have performed. That's the only part. But you are involved in a project that is above 900 million to $1 billion in that space. And that project of MEC supposed to deliver water to about 246,000 people of Winnie-Madikizela Mandela. The project had started, and the focus is on upgrading of the water treatment plant. but very little is covered in the annual report, both on the expenditure, reflection on the expenditure, and also assets that would have been accrued out of the process of implementing the project, and equally challenges that currently are facing the project. I think there's a limitation on that, but my colleagues will guide me. I'm raising this part, Honorable MEC, in your presence because I know your commitment with working with the traditional leadership. When such a project is having problems, equally the House of Traditional Leadership becomes very unhappy, and that as well is currently happening with this particular project. So I wanted just to raise that so that we're able to get proper, some sort of a counseling on what would have been an omission. Thank you so very please.
Thank you very much. I note one hand. Maybe I should confirm my profuse apologies. Alfred Nzo, to err is only human and to forgive is divine. So we do really apologize if you felt you were not properly acknowledged in the proceedings. I saw another hand to my left. Molly?
Greetings, my fellow respectable attendees. My name is Noktula Moli. I work for uMngeni-uThukela. My question is directed to CFO. My interest would be asking about the non-payments from our clients. And if we do, I think I must have missed or it's not covered in the report. There's no indication of non-payments. If we do have the non-payments, what is the plan, or how does the entity plan on recovering or bringing back whatever is being owed by our clients? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will come back for a second round of questions, but can I give back the opportunity to mainly the CFO as well as the COO to just cover the questions that were raised?
Thank you. I'm going to start with the first question that relates to what would have the numbers look like had we done a like for like. You'll keep in mind that it is a like for like because there was a gazette that said the two entities must combine. So obviously it's not like there was a choice, but if you had to look at former Umhlatuze, their profit contribution, I think in 2023, was about 123 million rands, whilst uMngeni had reported 1.1 billion rands. So even if you had to take and say 123 million grows at the same percentage, probably they would have been at about 150. Here at 1.1 is 1,250, which means that we're still reporting 1.4 billion rand profit, which means there's an extra 200 million rands that we would have actually shown even on a like on like. Secondly, I also presented the revenue growth where I showed that there was a revenue growth, and that revenue growth was mainly driven by eThekwini and uMsunduzi, which were the customers of the former uMngeni. So obviously that growth as well would have actually been sitting on the old entity had we done that comparison. But should there be a need for maybe a detail, we could actually provide that information for you to have a look. But good enough, you our banker, so we'll contact each other when we're looking for the loans. Yeah. Then there was another question just directed to myself on the finance side on the issue of the non-payment of debtors, and what are we doing about it? I think The Minister of Water and Sanitation convened a meeting in partnership with the office, the Office of COCTA, where there were municipalities that were in arrears that were actually called into that meeting. And in that meeting, they were then made to actually make comments as to the reasons and root causes of why they are not actually paying us. And then there was a resolution to say, COCTA and MEC, we're very thankful. We have a monthly meeting with, which is coordinated by COCTA, which then calls in these municipalities on a monthly basis for them to then come and account as to whether they've made good. So of the 4 municipalities that are not, that contribute to the larger bill, the outstanding debt, 3 of them have got payment plans, and 1, there is a dispute on tariff, which UDWS, through COCTA again, has actually decided to take the case and deal with that dispute and look at a dispute resolution and come back with an outcome for us. So they promised that at the next meeting, which is on the 24th of February, we will then be discussing the details of that particular impasse. So there is something that is being done. We are signing off these payment plans. Some municipalities, one of the months, they would then renege on the payment plans, but we try and actually then encourage them to honor these payment plans. I think I'll then allow Sanele, the one, Alfred Nzo.
Thank you, Shamas. I'm just going to address the question on whether or not there is dependence on abstraction licenses whilst we wait for the uMngeni project. A direct answer is yes. So how are we going to deal with that? Remember, whilst we want to introduce new water into the system, we also need to find the water that is not accounted for. So as much as it is true that population growth has grown to somewhat something that we are unable to figure out as yet, and that they are undocumented citizens. But it is also true that there is water that is lost and not accounted for. So working together with the municipalities to find this water will also make the situation such that whilst we wait for the uMngeni water project, no one will be left behind with no water. So these initiatives, there are municipalities that we have partnered with, even financially, and we are working on serious interventions to reduce water losses into the system. So that together with the new water from the new river catchments, uMngeni in this instance, we shouldn't experience a lot of issues. Thank you.
I think there was last but just one that concern from the Alfred Nzo colleague.
My apologies, my colleagues from Alfred Nzo. Thank you very much for the comment. I would like to assure you that the project in the Alfred Nzo is receiving the attention it deserves because, one, it is a ministerial project. To that effect, it belongs to a special unit that we have created within the organization, which we call Special Projects Division. And all special projects are getting the necessary attention and are also reported to the shareholder as necessary. So we do apologize that it may not have shown as a line item in the annual report, but it does get our undivided attention, and we acknowledge the type of problems that we encounter in a region that we may not necessarily be familiar with, and working together with the district and the solutions that have come forth, we do acknowledge that, and we will make sure that you feel welcome as always. Thank you.
Thank you, COO and the CFO. Do we have another round of questions, ladies and gentlemen? And again, I do exclude my media colleagues with the promise that we will engage one-on-ones. I would not like to befuddle these proceedings with questions that might be necessarily directed at our invited stakeholders. So the platform remains open to our stakeholders and customers in the event that there are any other questions. If not, it's kudos to the presenting team. I think they did a job well done. Thank you very much. And before I exit the podium, I would just like to thank yourselves and also the All Ladies organizing team from the Brand Marketing and Stakeholder Management Unit, as well as Company Secretariat, for assisting my little self in making this program a success. And with those few words, can I give the Deputy Chairperson of the board to just give us brief words of closure. Thank you very much.
Honorable MEC, Ubaba uMngeni kaMnyamana, usihlalo webhodi advocate vusikhuzwayo siholayo, the board members of uMngeni-uThukela Water, the honorable councillors that are present here and all the mayors, our chief executives led by uKhabazela, our highly esteemed guest, the staff of uMngeni-uThukela Water, please be greeted. Colleagues, it is really just to appreciate this very fruitful day that we had today, and to appreciate your presence as our stakeholders to just come and really celebrate with us the good news that we shared. I think we can all agree that it's a beautiful story that was shared today. Can we just give a round of applause for what has happened? Thank you. Thank you. I do not want to delay, neither do I want to spoil the good news that we have had. It is just to confirm that there are refreshments waiting for us outside, and that we can further network and engage and get to iron out all the issues if there's any point of clarity that are required. Otherwise, we thank you so much for coming and participating in our program. Safe trip going back. Thank you.